Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about zodiac sign compatibility between Gemini and Virgo. And they are incompatible by sign because Gemini, they are square by sign, and they are incompatible. Gemini is, is a masculine sign, and it's more extroverted than Virgo. Virgo is a feminine sign, which suggests introversion. And Virgo can tend to be more pessimistic than Gemini. Gemini can be more optimistic, given that it is a masculine sign. The one thing, the positive, the commonality they have here is they both are ruled by Mercury. Virgo is more the pragmatic intellect, and Gemini really is mercurial and really can go from one subject to another. It can be a little bit more fickle and changeable and restless and as far as their learnings go. Virgo has a little bit more stick-to-itiveness and persistence, I think, with what they're learning. Now, the thing about this is that the one big disparity I see between these two people is that when you have a Gemini person, Gemini is not really always about organization. They're not necessarily disheveled, but they don't put as much emphasis on that as Virgo does. In Virgo, if this is a living situation, if this you have like a significant other type situation between these people, as far as Virgo can be a little bit nitpicky, to say the least. Maybe it might be a harsh way of putting it, but they're just very systematic and organized and fastidious, and they like everything, often like everything in that same spot. And Virgo might notice if Gemini didn't put something back in the right place and be a little bit too judgmental or critical for Gemini, and Gemini might see this as being a little bit more judgmental and critical than what's necessary. And also, as far as from like a financial aspect, if these two people are living together, you might have a situation like if they're a significant other and they're involved in like a romantic sexual relationship or what have you, they they could be strongly different as far as the financial end of things go, because Virgo can be rather frugal and might even be accused of being parsimonious, while Gemini can generate money fairly quick, often due to their mental ability, but they don't put as much as emphasis on saving things, and they might spend something on things that might seem trivial to a Virgo. So those are, or maybe even superfluous. So those are some things to look at as far as the disparities between these signs. Now, whether this is a platonic sexual, romantic relationship or what have you, what they have in common, of course, is that they are Mercury ruled. They both can have that strong intellectual stimulation. They both can have very good mentalities, being able to solve problems really quickly, and they can actually have good conversation, and that could be one. As far as the compatibility goes, that could be one positive with these people, but I don't think there's really much else to consider as far as what's positive in this. I think they both can maybe learn something from each other. Virgo can teach Gemini perhaps to be a little bit more pragmatic and practical, and give a little bit more organization to Gemini. While Gemini can really instill in Virgo that not everything has to be planned and premeditated and plotted out all the time. Sometimes you can extemporize and be a little bit more spontaneous. Now, as far as in the bedroom goes, it's kind of like how I would see it there, because with Gemini likes to extemporize, and they like to do kind of things on sometimes on a whim, or really just on their mood or what have you. And you have Virgo likes to kind of have maybe someone there consistently, so in doing pretty much something the same or similar as far as the bedroom situation goes. So I think that's where you might see a disparity between these two people. And being both Mercury ruled, you might not always have that strong emotional rapport between these two people. And the fact that they are both mutable signs, you can have a a lot of indecision, especially with Gemini. I think Gemini could be known for being ambiguous. Virgo could be a little bit more decisive, but you don't really have these two people don't always follow up on what they're thinking about. And Gemini can have a plethora of ideas and may not always make them come to fruition, while Virgo might have that strong propensity for worrying and really worrying about something and not really taking care of the situation, so to speak. So I think that's where you can have a problem with this as far as these two people go in a relationship. So really, the thing about this is that also another disparity too is that Gemini is not always a stickler for being on time and punctuality and being at this place and sticking to some organized routine, as opposed to Virgo. Virgo really can be that master. That Virgo can be the prototype of reliability and dependability, and really I think in this respect you could have some differences with these signs because of that. Well, anyway, people, it's also important to look at the aspect, if any, that is made between the energies of these people with Gemini and Virgo, as this could indicate how these energies may integrate a little bit better, or maybe not as well, or maybe they really might not integrate as well. But anyway, well, let's say, for example, you have the square aspect between the energies with these people. Let's say, for example, someone has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Gemini at 7 degrees, and the other person has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Virgo at 5 degrees. That would form a square aspect, which is adverse or adversarial. They're already squared by sign, but if you have the square aspect, this could intensify the incompatibility, pretty much, and accentuate the negativity, and it could show that this could be a rather challenging type of relationship, whether it is platonic or romantic or sexual. So that's really that is one thing to consider. Now, on the positive side, you can also have an out of trine aspect take place with these energies of these people. Now, let's say, for example, someone has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Gemini at 2 degrees, and the other person has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Virgo at 28 degrees. Well, that would form an out of sign trine aspect, which could be auspicious and positive, and you might have an ability with these people to work out maybe the disparities a little bit better as opposed to what is otherwise indicated. Keep in mind, though, they are still square by sign, so you're still going to have some differences likely anyway between these two people. Now, you could also have an out of sign sextile aspect take place with these energies of these people. Now, let's say, for example, someone has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Gemini at 29 degrees, and the other person has the sun, moon, or ascendant at Virgo at 1 degree. Well, that would form an out of sign sextile aspect, which could also be auspicious and harmonious and positive. And you might have that like the trine aspect, you may likely be able to work out the differences a little bit better than otherwise indicated. Now, keep in mind, though, they are still square by sign, so you're still going to have likely have some disputes and some differences anyway between these people with these energies. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for zodiac sign compatibility between Gemini and Virgo. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about zodiac sign compatibility between Gemini and Libra. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.